Pennsylvania.
Thank
I
you,
share the
Chairman
full-
Griffith and Ranking Member Tonka, and thank you for our witnesses for appearing here today. For years, from Pennsylvania, I recognize that coal-fired power generation facilities have worked in Pennsylvania and throughout the entire United States, and they have worked to properly manage coal combustion residuals, or coal ash. This has long been done either through disposal and monitoring or through beneficial uses, such as the making of concrete or construction applications, as in drywall production. With the EPA's finalized 2024 legacy CCR rule, electric utilities will be faced with burdensome costs for sites where coal ash has already been safely disposed of and environmental concerns mitigated, and beneficial uses with programs that will be subjected to harsh regulations despite the evidence that they pose little or absolutely no environmental or health or safety risks. To start, I want to be clear on both the effectiveness of current methods of coal ash disposal and the beneficial use. Mr. Adams, in your written testimony, you discuss how the regulatory treatment of beneficial use has been impacted by environmental organizations raising false alarms about the supposed toxicity of coal ash. Can you clarify how coal ash is safely used in other commercial applications?
Well, certainly, we know that from decades of use in concrete that this material performs, and it performs just as expected. EPA itself ran a risk evaluation of this material and found that there is no difference in the performance of concrete with fly ash and without fly ash. That was EPA's own work. In addition, if you look at what EPA has done over the years in terms of regulating coal ash, back in 1993, the EPA made a determination that coal ash did not warrant treatment as a Subtitle C hazardous waste under RCRA, based on toxicity. They repeated that ruling again in the year 2000, both under President Clinton and Administrator Carol Browner, that coal ash did not warrant management under Subtitle C as a hazardous waste. And it was repeated one more time in 2015. So if we hear all these claims of coal ash being hazardous and toxic, EPA hasn't made that claim yet, and they've looked at it really since 1980 when the Bevel Amendment was passed, declaring coal ash to be exempt from hazardous waste management. So as we look at all these applications and we hear all these claims, EPA has not found that to be the case.
The 2024 Legacy Rule created a new definition, CCR Management Units, or CCRMU. Mr. Adams, has the expansion of federal regulation to CCRMU potentially undermined opportunities for beneficial uses that we talk about? You just mentioned with the use in concrete, I talked about in drywall production. Are we stifling innovation?
It's an interesting attempt. The 2024 rule has a risk assessment which is terribly flawed to supplement its claims in that rule. Beneficial use will be impacted by it, but EPA's done a nice job of trying to draw fences around things and create back doors, if you will, to restrict beneficial use, and based on that flawed risk assessment.
You also noted, Mr. Adams, in your remarks that the EPA used flawed risk adjustment in justifying that rule. And I think that's what you were just mentioning. Can you further explain some of your major concerns with that risk management, that risk assessment?
Well, for example, it claims that arsenic is many, many more times more dangerous than it ever has been before. What changed? Nobody has been able to explain to us what changed to make arsenic more concentrated, more of a danger than it has been for decades and centuries, actually. We run into things like that in the report that actually give people rise for concern when there's really no change at all that has happened there.
From your testimony, both written and stated orally, a federal regulation which fails to consider state or facility-specific characteristics and that imposes strict regulations not based on any real finding of risk is not the way to handle CCR. The EPA announced earlier this year that they are reviewing this rule to determine what regulatory relief is appropriate. I look forward to that determination and to working with my colleagues on this committee to ensure that electric utilities, especially in rural areas that need that increased electrification in America, are not burdened by this unnecessary cost. Thank you all for appearing today. My time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.